Hey guys, welcome to another episode about ESP programming. Today I'm going to teach you how to create HTTP server by using your ESP microcontroller. And this method is going to work whether you are using ESP8266 or ESP32. So here on the left I have some HTTP and CSS code. And this tutorial it's not about HTTP and CSS. So I presume that you already know how to create some simple web page. And now I'm going to open my Mozilla Firefox, and this is how this web page looks like. So what I actually want? I want to have some background integer variable that is going to store value that is going to be presented in place of this result text. And then I want to be able to type in some value in this first box, and by clicking on execute, I want that value to be added to my result. Opposite to that, value that we put in our subtract text box. When I click on a button from this second form, I want this value to be subtracted from my variable. And of course that value to be presented. And this is actually one simple example. In order for you to understand how ESP microcontroller works in role of web server. And from this point you could actually go anywhere. You could write code that could be used in order to read some data from sensors, or for switching lights or other devices. Or you could actually use your microcontroller in order to get some data from the internet. And then you could parse that data into web page and then deliver that web page by using your ESP web server. So in this project I'm going to use my ESP8266 microcontroller to deliver this content. But this content must be delivered in dynamic way, because our result is going to be changed all the time. So for that reason I'm going to create two string variables. First, that is going to contain values from the beginning down to h3 tag, and second string is going to contain all from closing h3 tag to the end. So our web response is going to be composed from a top part, result and bottom part. In that way we are constantly going to present correct value. Alright, now I'm going to close my Visual Studio Code and my web page, and now we are going to deal with ESP code. So first thing that we have to do is to include 4 headers. So first we need ESP8266 Wi-Fi.h. But if you are using ESP32 microcontroller, you are going to include Wi-Fi.h. Next one, it's Wi-Fi client.h. Third one, it's ESP8266 web server.h. And finally ESP8266 mdns.h. Alright, now we need two constant variables. Constant char pointer SSID. In here you are going to store a name of your Wi-Fi connection. And second one, it's constant char pointer password. And of course in here you are going to store password for that connection. And of course you don't have to know my personal data, so I'm going to fill these two fields later on. So now what we need is ESP8266 web server object, call it server, and port 80, because usually web content is delivered through port 80. And now we are going to create those variables I mentioned. So first is going to be string top. Okay. And I'm going to open my VS Code once again. Alright. And I'm going to copy this top part in here. All right. And now I'm going to create another string bottom, and then I'm going to copy this bottom part. All right. Okay, this part is done. But you have to know that code like this, it's not permitted by C syntax. Now we have to do 3 things in order to properly format this string. First thing, we need backslash at the end of every line. We have to remove every empty line, and we also have to add backslash before every quotation mark. And of course we have to do all of that for both strings. And now I'm just going to fast forward this part because you don't have to waste your time. Alright guys, this part is done, and now in order for me to check whether my strings are properly formatted, I'm going to try to compile this code. So soon we are going to know. And alright, my code is compiled, meaning our strings are totally fine. Now to the next part. And I forgot to mention that you don't have to add backslash to your last line. Now we are going to create another variable of type integer result and set it to 0. This variable is going to hold the value for our result. Next part is to create string function, create response, and this function is going to create string that is going to be sent to our client. So what we are going to return, we are going to return top part, then result, and bottom part. That's all for this function. Now we are going to create a function void on add. So this function is going to be executed when our client clicks on button execute for form add. And what we are going to do in that case, first we are going to get value from argument. We are going to create value, and in order to get our first argument we are going to use server args 0. Well, in this case we are going to send only one argument, but if you have multiple arguments you are going to use server args in order to iterate through those arguments. In this case I could simply just pick argument with index of 0, but I have to cast it to array with the function of cstr. Alright, now everything is okay. And then I'm going to add this value to my result. Result plus equals value. And finally we are going to send content of our web page with server send with code of 200, type text HTML, and content create content. All right. Sorry, it's not create content, it's create response. And now it's fine. So now we have on add function, but I forgot to create a root function. So I'm going to call it void root response. And I'm just going to copy this line because we don't need anything else. So this function is going to be executed when some client make a request. Okay, remove this empty space, we don't need it, make some space in here. And now I'm going to copy this entire function. I'm just going to rename it to on subtract. and this part is going to remain the same because we need that first argument value anyway. But now we are going to remove this value from our result, and final part, it's also okay. We are just sending this content. And now I'm going to create function void not found. So this function is going to be executed when client make a request for some page that is non-existing. So what we are going to do in here, first I'm going to create string response. First part is going to be file not found, new line, then response plus equals, this is another line, URI column plus server URI plus, we need new line in here, method column plus, and now we are going to create one inline if loop. So I'm going to ask for server method, if that method is HTTP get or not. So if request method it's get, we are going to print get, else we are going to print post. So this piece of code is going to return a string get or post in regards of what method it's used. And now I'm going to append one new line to it, and we are going to send this response to our client. Server send, code is going to be 404 because in this case page cannot be found. Then it's going to be text plain, and content is going to be from variable response. All right, this part is done, and now we are going to deal with the rest. First with void setup. So in here what I want to do first is to initialize serial communication with bound rate of 9600. Now I'm going to initialize my Wi-Fi begin, and I'm going to provide SSID and password. All right, now we are going to wait for connection to be established with Wi-Fi status not equal to WL connected. While we are not connected, we are going to make delay of 500 milliseconds, and we are going to print serial print. Let's print asterisk, that's fine. Now first thing that we are going to do when we make this connection, I'm going to print ln to make new line, then another print ln with string connected, 3 dots. Now serial print, I want to print address out, serial print ln, so Wi-Fi local IP. All right, but I need brackets in here, it's function, serial print MAC address column space and print ln Wi-Fi MAC address. So, little explanation here. Why we need this piece of code? So why I'm printing values for my local IP and my MAC address? So as you know, your local IP it's dictated by your local DHCP server, and that is piece of software usually located on your router. And you absolutely must know your local IP in order to access your web server. On the other hand, MAC address is unique identifier of your Wi-Fi device. And it's absolutely not necessary in order to use your web server. But what is the catch? Your local DHCP server, it's not going to give exact the same IP address to your ESP microcontroller every time it's connected, which actually makes it inconvenient for any serious project. Because how you are going to connect to your web server if you don't know its IP address? For that very same reason, you could use your MAC address in order to reserve some IP address that you want on your DHCP server through router settings. And if you don't know how to do that, in some of upcoming episodes I'm going to teach you that. And for now we are going to continue with this project. So next thing that we have to do now is to initialize mDNS begin, call it ESP8266 or give it any other name if you like. Make some space in here and we are going to make final settings. So server on root, respond with root response. Okay, what this is? With function server on, you are going to connect actual location from your server, and in this case that is root, with function that is going to deliver content. So when some client asks for root content, function root response is going to be executed. And in here with function name you don't need brackets, and we need to use this function multiple times. So server on, now on add, and we need forward slash in here. We are going to use function on add. Okay, I have to make some explanation. So as I said, I presume that you already know how to create some simple web page using HTTP and CSS. But for now, let me explain you this part. So what we have in here, we have two forms. Forms are dynamic parts of HTML. In form, we are setting method and we are setting action. And action, it's actually a name of page that is going to be delivered when this form is activated. So when we click on button with type submit, so what we are actually doing, we are asking for page subtract, and we are sending argument with the name, and in here I'm going to change from add to subtract. But it doesn't matter because we are actually using index, so we could put any name in here. And this argument is going to hold a value that we are going to put in our text box. And if we don't put any value, default value is going to be 1. So in case when we click on execute for form 1, we are going to ask for page add, and we are going to send argument add with a value of 1. If nothing, it's put in text box. And what is going to happen then? Let me show you. On add, first we are going to check a value for that argument, and we are going to turn that value from string into actual number, integer. And that integer is going to be added to our result variable. And finally we are going to create a response with create response function that is going to be sent to our client. Okay, let's get down here. Now we are going to create server on. If somebody clicks on subtract, we are going to activate function on subtract. All right. And now if somebody actually requests page that is not existing, we are going to activate function not found. And I believe that this is the name, not found. Yeah, it's correct. When all of that is done, we are going to initialize our server. That's right. And in void loop, we are going to add one more line. Server handle client. Okay. So now I'm just going to add my credentials and I'm going to upload this piece of code. And okay, that part is done, and of course I've cutted that element from this video because you don't have to know my credentials. And now I'm going to upload this code to my microcontroller. Alright, I have some typo probably. Ah yes, it's actually mistake. This is constant, not string. Sorry. Let's try it again. Alright, code is fine. We are uploading now. Alright, everything is well. Now I'm going to open my serial monitor. And I'm going to restart my microcontroller. Let's see. And our IP address is 192.168.0.17. I'm going to open my Firefox. All right. And I'm just going to type that address in. And finally, our ESP microcontroller web server works. And I'm going to test our two methods. So first I'm going to add value of 200, execute, and we have 200. And I'm going to subtract, let's say 51, 199. So guys, this project ended as I expected, so please like, subscribe, and see you in next episode.